In an age of clickbait headlines and shrinking newsrooms, investigative journalism faces an uphill battle. Is it still alive, or are we witnessing its slow demise? That's the big question at this year's DigiTimes 2025, hosted by CARIMAC'S students. This year's theme, the erosion of press freedom, the death of investigative journalism, takes center stage with renowned media expert Mr. Cordell Green leading the discussion. DigiTimes 2025 Logistics Coordinator Daniel Thomas and final year journalism student Rejon Bennett, I take that again, Rejon Bennett are here to share more.
I think I'm going to get your news work. Good morning. How are you doing? Hello, Regine. How are you, ladies?
I'm well, thanks.
I'm well as well, thanks. So obviously, I did the introduction in that way because what we're discussing here is journalism. It's in fact news journalism and specifically investigative journalism.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit for those who may not be aware. What exactly is investigative journalism and what's the differentiation?
Well, investigative journalism is in fact quite thorough, and it seeks to uncover or reveal corruption or certain injustices in different parts of society. So whether it be a government or a certain institution or a certain aspects of society, then we seek to uncover that.
And the question then is it dead?
It's not dead, but it does face certain challenges and threats. One, in fact, is the fact that press freedom is eroding, and that is in our theme. So when we think about the fact that journalists are facing a challenge in accessing information, which they certainly need to continue or follow through with their investigative journalism story, the Official Secrets Act is challenged by the Access to Information Act, which gives journalists the opportunity to access the information that they need, and that's facing a lot of red tape. So journalists, they're feeling detoured and not encouraged at all to follow through, and so it may be dying in that regard. Also in the aspects of it not being a lucrative field, it truly costs for media houses to follow through with investigative journalism. And so we see where some journalists aren't as passionate before, especially facing the red tape when it comes on to press freedom.
Awesome, awesome, delivered just like a journalist. But DigiTimes 2025 is tackling this issue head on. So what in particular can attendees expect at the discussion? Yes.
So
Tami.
attendees can expect at DigiTimes a riveting discussion surrounding the theme, the erosion of press freedom, the death of investigative journalism, with our speaker that's coming in highlighting that same theme, Mr. Cordell Green. And he's going to be an excellent speaker, as most of us know, in the media and communications landscape. He is the current executive director of the Broadcasting Commission of Jamaica. And because of his expertise and pragmatic experience in ethical governance, we're talking about media regulation and digital transformation, it makes him a perfect fit to speak on the theme. And also, attendees can expect a journalism showcase by our final year journalism students, reflecting that theme as well, exploring different topics under health, education, and so on, to really reflect on the challenges that they have experienced on these stories and to be a part of the potential revival of investigative journalism in Jamaica.
You know what I love about a showcase that highlights final year students? What I love is that this is literally going to be the next cohort coming in the professional space.
Absolutely, yes.
So when you say the final year students going to be showcasing, that's where my interest gets piqued the most, right?
Yes.
What are some of the stories that are going to be highlighted by those students?
Well, the stories cover social issues, so they range from healthcare to education to even disaster preparedness.
Awesome. I mean, I think that is some place I want to be at.
Yes, you
so
should.
Tell me about how persons can get there, where are you on socials, where you can get all the other information when you've left here this morning.
All right, so you can find us on CARIMAC DigiTimes on Instagram, as well as our official Caribbean School of Media and Communication Instagram and Facebook page, CARIMAC UE. And RSVP forms are still open, so you can go ahead and respond to officiate your attendance as a media practitioner, or whether you're a student, an aspiring journalist as well.
What's the admission?
The admission is free and
What
it's
did you
open
say?
to the public. Yes,
did
it
you
is.
say?
Right.
And
Yes.
we are talking about this event happening next week.
Yes.
So people have a bit of time now to say, wait a minute, this has piqued my interest. Let me get the inside details. Where you said they must head online?
All right, so it's at CARIMAC UE, or you can also look at our official event page, which is CARIMAC Digi Times. The link is in our bio to RSVP as soon as possible. And remember, it's Tuesday, April 8th at CARIMAC Annex 2 on the UE Mona campus grounds.
You don't want to miss it.
Don't want to miss it
Awesome,
at all.
awesome.
I have
We
a
shan't.
question. We shan't.
No.
We shan't miss it. My question is for both of you.
Okay.
So each of you take a shot at it. You can decide amongst yourself who go first. All right. The question is, in the current digital space, in the current space where digital marries journalism, marries media, what do you think are some of the pros and cons in the direction that we are heading?
And they're thinking about it because this, like in a debate, you have to make sure, you know,
Our
to
director says
digest
that
it,
sounds
yeah.
like a CARIMAC essay question.
Yeah.
I would start off with the cons. I think now in a digital age where AI is becoming more prevalent, we find that there is the question that comes to the fore of, is this fact? Could it be interpretation? Or is it just simply a lie? Right? And I also think another con could be the fact that persons are then becoming questionable of news itself. So we're becoming more conscious of who or where or what we get our news from, who we deem as sources. And then for the pros, always I'd say it's good to have access to information at your fingertips and then being connected, because we find that with media, with journalism, it's news and we're all connected by that. Telling people information, informing them and bringing them up to date and staying educated as a society and being informed, which is critical and to the core of what that is.
Let me tell you something finally, sir. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. A plus.
Also, I want our viewers to know they had no idea that was coming. I
Yes.
never knew it was coming either.
Yes.
It just came as I was listening to you guys speak.
Yes.
It came to me to say, this is an interesting age because it's different from, say, when I would have been entering journalism or when IT, it's really a different age because
Yeah,
IT came when TV was black and white, right?
Listen.
So,
All right. I wanted to ask, but I think she kind of answered it though. How they are being affected because everybody now is a news media.
Right.
And they're reporting. It's so much faster than before. You don't need to wait on the newsroom to give the news
the
because
traditional
somebody...
news
That's
space.
true.
So, I mean, even when you spoke about it being a very expensive field now, I know it's being impacted. Is
Indeed.
that part of what is eroding journalism generally?
It is, because apart from the fact that it costs, journalists are looking at the pay that they'll get at the end of the day. Their lives are being threatened. Is it worth my life? In the classroom, we'd say, no story is worth your life. That's what we'll tell each other.
Right.
But we understand that there are journalists that go to that extent, and we certainly respect them because at the end of the day, we're the watchdogs of society. So someone needs to go to the forefront and execute that.
Daniel, final question to you. Final question is, how important is this conversation that we're having and why should people head on out to come and be a part of this conversation?
It is very important this year, especially at DigiTimes, because we are now directly addressing investigative journalism this year. And it not only concerns our journalists, but it concerns the general public as well. How is it that they can play a part in this discourse? Yes. How is it that it involves them in terms of bringing them together and uncovering stories that align with the marginalized? How is it that persons are suffering from certain social injustices that need to come to light? And what investigative journalism does is to practice a healthier democracy for all, and that is why we encourage all to come to DigiTimes, to be a part of this experience, to protect press freedom and to promote investigative journalism.
What time you say again?
Okay, so it's at 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. From 8 to 8:30 p.m. being our Digi Lime or networking segment.
Okay.
All right.
Which part of UWI?
CARIMAC Annex 2, right? On UWI campus
On
grounds.
Tuesday,
Yeah, they
April
will go up there.
8th.
Tuesday,
We're gonna
April
go up
8th.
there.
Please be there.
Who are our guests, IT?
Our guest was Daniel Thomas, Digitimes 2025, logistics coordinator.
And who else?
And our name, funny one. Pronounce it for me.
Regine.
Regine. I like it, Regine.
Thank you.
Regine. Regine Bennett, final year journalism students working to keep investigative journalism alive. There's more sunrise after this break. So as I usually say, stick and stay.
Stick and stay, boss.